Hey everyone, welcome to Long Arm Wednesday. I'm Laura Lynn of the Mom and Pop Quilt Shop, and we're very happy to see you here today. We're working on a donation that I've done last year for the Let's Get Hillsburg Growing community. What they do is they kind of shut off a part of our main street in Hillsburg. It's really right in front of our house. You pop up a bunch of classic cars, a little fair for the kids, popcorn, candy, cookies, all that sort of fun stuff. So last year I donated, some of you may not know because you're new to the channel, and I really appreciate you stopping by. And I did horses. It was a bluey type material. I used pink thread or a purpley thread, and it stitched out horses, and then I filled in the background with some really tight meander or, really tiny stitches. So this year they had asked me if I would like to donate something again, because apparently that was the highest on their silent auction, so I was very happy with that. So they brought a lot of money to the area, and so I thought, why not? So their theme was Fabulous 50s. I forgot what it was last year. I think it was just countryside or something like that. So I found a stitch out that's got maybe not quite the 50s, but I found the truck I really liked, and I thought it was very much 50. So it's like a truck. I'll take a picture of it, and it'll be at the end so you can see what I'm stitching around. And so it's got like a little, it's a gun and a sheriff's badge and some cowboy boots and a saddle and some horseshoes and stars and a big hat, big old hat, and this really kind of cool car. So I'm filling in around it with some lagoon colored thread, and I have this, mossy colored gray green fabric, and I did it for the front and the back because of course this is just going to be a wall hanging, and I'll make little loops to match and so on and so forth. And I kind of come up and above where I needed to stitch to, so because I really want this to be nice and flat when I go to put the binding on. So I don't mind cutting some of those stitches off as long as I get a nice tight binding all the way around. So what I've been doing is just filling in, and we're just going to continue, okay? There we go. I need to work my way up to the other side of the tornado. You may see that on my left. And then work my way back to where I was. So you just got to do tiny little stitches. Just go back and forth. Don't forget to move. It's 12 stitches per inch. It's off the belts, which the C belts would control belts. I guess that's why they call them C belts. I'm just kind of tucking in. And of course, as it does its stitch out, I don't really want to kind of cross over those lines as it's doing its stitch out. So I'm just kind of filling in between, trying to get in between there or follow those stitch out line, so to get me to where I need to go again, okay? Now you could do this with tiny little loops. You could do this with the cross hatching. You could do this with obviously this little meander, tight meander here, or even just a looser one. The batting, you will notice right here, is thick. It's quite thick, and that's what makes all these other items that I'm not stitching down pop right up. And that's what was so fun and enjoyable about the horses, because the mountains stood out, the horses stood out, the trees stood out, everything else in the background was stitched down, like literally quilted to death. So, and it being this thicker batting, once you get it all quilted, it makes a stiff wall hanging, right? So it's not going to be floppy. It's going to be nice and, firm up against the wall, standing proud for everybody to see it. So, and here, fingers crossed that this brings in some money for our little community here. We have, I don't know, it's not very big. I mean, if you were to drive on the main street and blink, you'd miss the town. I'm just working around that other little sheriff's badge or star badge. It has an S in it, so I figured it was a sheriff's badge. And I just thought these two colors really kind of complemented each other. They weren't screaming, pay attention to me, but you can tell there was something, something was going on here, so go take a look at it, Hopefully it was appealing to the eye. Yeah, apparently there was a bidding war last year on the horses, so I was like, woo woo. And of course I have the car stitch out for the 50s, but then I don't know, it's just a car next to a car next to a car. So I thought, okay, let's do this. Go see what I have in my collection. There's actually a couple I was thinking about designing myself. See if this actually out there first, and then it's, I don't know, I guess you just have to follow it, like go here, go there, and make sure they come back, and, you know, it finishes off where you want to be stitching, right? Like the horseshoes, they cross over each other. Some only gets, one half gets done, and then the other half gets done, and, you know, it's on its way back. It's, you know, sometimes you have to think of the picture as it's stitching out, right? To make sure you don't have a lot of thread breaks. You kind of link everything. I just do kind of little weeble wobble shapes, bone shapes, you know, like a doggy bone shape, you know, kind of like blob. You know, used to play with silly putty and stuff like that. Those sorts of shapes is really what kind of fills this all in. Okay, so I'm going to work my way all the way down here, and because there's a crossover here, I'm just going to come up here and then fill in this zone here, right? But I don't really want to keep crossing over this line. To me, it's helping separate the pieces to really define where they are on the quilt top, right? So just want to make sure it gets some of it's filled in, so it really makes that little Stetson sheriff hat pop right up. Now I could go back in and fill in the star to give it that much more depth and dimension, or even just, you know, echo it and put another star inside of it. You know, I can put LL, so I'm the sheriff, you know, like, they'll never know. Just kidding. Okay, now it's coming up close to the saddle, so I want to make sure I kind of come around the saddle. I've got to come up in here. There's the horseshoes in here, so that makes this whole saddle stand out too. And then, of course, there's another spot on here I could really, you know, stitch down really densely if I wanted the rest of it to stand out, right? I'll work my way up because I've already got half of the horseshoe done on one side. We'll go up and finish that off. This does take time, it really does, and it's, you know, a couple of breaks here, a couple of breaks there. You can only do maybe 20, 30 minutes at a time, or even less, depends. So it has taken a couple hours so far, but I think it's very pretty, and I really do hope it brings in some money for our little community here. Sometimes you just gotta do what you can. I was just so happy it was well received last year, you know, like, you just never know when you start sticking your artwork out there in people's faces, and you don't wanna, you know what I mean? Okay, see here, I can follow the stitch line and come right across here again, and then right down into this spot, okay? So anyways, I was very happy. I was very happy that it, and then when they were telling me, actually I went down there and there was a bidding war happening, and then when they said there was still bidding wars for, you know, a couple hours afterwards, I was like, woo, all right, go for it, peoples. It does take quite a bit of thread, so you have to be, when you start one of these projects, you have to be committed. You have to be committed to do the whole thing. So if it takes you 2, 3 spools, or not spools, I mean bobbins, then, you know, be prepared. And come up in here, do this other part of this horseshoe, and then we will call it a show. So I guess what I was trying to say is stitch something out, even if it's just a tree or you know, a clown from a coloring book or whatever, and then be able to fill in around it or fill itself in, depending on what you're making. Make a rainbow, you know, make some flowers, something, you know, and then fill in around it or fill it in, and then see what sort of design and pattern you get. Well, sounds like we're getting close to the end of the bobbin here. We'll see what's going to end first, the horseshoe stitch out or the bobbin. It's the race. It's a race to the finish. You can just hear it sometimes. It just sounds a wee bit tinny. It's light. It's not full of thread anymore. And of course, like I say, you can do cross hatching, zigzags, whatever, even just straight lines, wavy lines across, just stop and go in between the spots. There we go, that's pretty much this top part done. All right, now we're gonna end in stitches that were already there, lock them in place. And it looks like I have a little spot up here between, between this horseshoe here and this other little sheriff's badge that I'll have to go and fill in. But other than that, it looks really kind of cute, doesn't it? You have a little visual there. And of course, that was the tornado I was talking about. And then this big old handgun. And then the other little sheriff's badge. And then this cool, cool truck. That's right here. All right, so thanks everybody for watching, liking, and subscribing. We have a beautiful t-shirt that we have designed. It's called Mom and Pop Quilt Shop. So much fun. It goes across the top and the bottom with a big, huge, our lovely sewing machine there. And then on the back it says, quilting with friends, nothing better. So why not, right? Check it out. There'll be an iCard here and the information will be down in the bottom. We really appreciate it if you partake in that. I would love to see all of them all around. I'm gonna get a couple myself, okay? Take care, everybody. Have a fantastic day, and we'll see you on Weekend Project. Bye. Take care.